Hello and welcome to Connect to Love here on PRN-FM, where each week is a journey into the many facets of love, oneness, and our connection to the human spirit. I'm Lisa LeRose, and I'm joined by my co-host, Michael J. Russ. You're on a whirlwind and adventure, and so am I, and I'm so grateful that you're able to make the time each week to join me for these explorations. Always absolutely so fantastic. So I want to say welcome, Michael.
Thank you. I wouldn't miss them. It's the one thing in my life that I have on a regular, do on a regular basis, because I like to kind of intuitively walk through life, and this is the one thing I insist on making time for every single week, and it is a wonderful journey all to itself.
I agree, truly. It is a wonderful journey unto itself. And our conversations always give me more points to ponder and more avenues for further exploration. This show is completely unscripted, and Michael and I have never met each other physically in person. Sometime soon, I hope. It's our travel schedule. We'll see how that works out. But
and it's been 3 years.
But what's so fantastic is Michael reached out to me, and we talk about some different topics, and then somehow, but a half hour before the show's ready to start, we kind of distill it and say, yeah, this looks like a very, very good direction to flow. And oftentimes, we never know where that inspiration is coming from. And this week, Michael shared with me a video that I unfortunately haven't had time to watch it, but I was really inspired by what moved him in the video, and that was the sacredness of the breath. And when I heard those words, it really opened me up to wonder. We spend our entire lives seeking connection, but what if the most intimate, continuous, sacred connection to love began the moment that we took our very first breath, that sacred breath? And then, of course, I wondered, perhaps it's all connected to love. Not that long ago, we did a show about your voice having power and being able to be the voice of love, speaking your world into being. And when I wrote the description, I said, what if the words you speak could transform not only your life, but the lives of everyone around you? And do you often wish your voice could be a catalyst for creating a world filled with love? And as I was pondering those words and revisiting that episode, I thought to myself, what if every breath you take is actually love in motion? That it's our reminder that we're never separate from the source that gives us life. Oftentimes, we hear those words, you have the breath of life, from the first breath that we take when we're born to the last breath, and we enter into another world. It's really a universal act that we all share. So I thought it'd be fun today if we actually look and turn inward at the most fundamental life force, the breath, that very inhalation of life. For this show, I'm going to invite each and every one of you, and I'm going to do the same, to breathe in love, breathe out love, and we're just going to see where this takes us. I thought, Michael, love, like the breath, is very sacred. In traditions all throughout Christianity, they say God breathed life into Adam. In the Hindu, it's about the prana, that universal life force that's actually carried by the breath. In the Buddhist practices, it's about mindful breathing as a path to enlightenment, where each breath is an opportunity to awaken. And in the indigenous teachings, the wind was the breath of the earth. And so I think that that's all connecting us into that beautiful web of life. And I'd love, I haven't had an opportunity to hear what you sent me, but I know that you were very inspired about the breath and its connection to love. So I'd welcome any insights you want to share, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And yeah, we have covered the voice of love, and we've spoken about the breath many times. I was just inspired by a wonderful interview that was conducted with a channel who was channeling Jesus, Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, and Buddha. And what's interesting about it, and for those listeners that are out there maybe catching the show for the first time, really what I want to convey is that you may or may not be privy to the kinds of things that we speak about, but just sit back, relax, breathe, and in whatever it is that we say, find that thing that resonates with you, that message that resonates with you, and take that with you and take it and run with it. Not everything we say is going to be exactly what is within your belief system or this or that. It doesn't really matter. There's a lot of really good energy, and we just want you to expand upon whatever feels good to you, whatever sounds fun to you. And to that extent, we all breathe, right? We all breathe. We all take a breath. The interesting thing is that it's something that generally we take for granted. We take it for granted because we just do it, right? If we're not breathing, we're basically in a bad way, or in a way that, as you said, we're out of here. But when we get stressed, we get fearful. We're embracing lower energies, lower frequencies. Our breath becomes more and more shallow. And what Buddha was speaking to is the fact that in those times, it is even more important to become more conscious of your breathing and breathe from love and gratitude. Breathe from love and gratitude. And in doing so, you actually expand your energy and you expand your connection to Source, because Source is breathing through us all. That's what basically it is. Source. We have been given life to experience this journey that we're on. And breath is integral to that process, and that in our heart, there's several connections to this. So he was talking about how when we express our love and gratitude for each breath that we take, just sitting and breathing in, breathing out, no particular cadence, no particular thoughts in your head about, what you're grateful for, just being grateful for the simplest thing, that you have the opportunity to experience this life and to take in these breaths, being grateful for the breaths, and combine that with the love. See the breath as the love you have for yourself and your life and the world, Gaia, the earth, the planet, everything that's alive on this planet everything has a purpose, and you're not going to be privy to what that purpose is, and it's not your job to know what that purpose is. Your job is to basically just enjoy your breath, enjoy and embrace the gratitude for being able to breathe and experience whatever it is that you're experiencing, because life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And by slowing down your breath, you connect with the you inside. So much of what is going on in this world today, no matter what country you're in, things are going on. And we have to remember that those things are external. Those things are outside of us. And the real power, the real magic is inside of us, because we have the ability to create what is outside of us, our experience of outside of us. And I am extremely grateful for the ability to be able to create, to experience what I experience, and know that I'm experiencing it for me, and it's coming through my interpretation of it. That the feelings I have about it, I'm forever understanding and aware of the fact that everything that goes on around me is a product of my choice as far as how I choose to perceive it. And going inside, as Buddha said, is where the strength is. That's where the power is. When you know what you desire, then combining that with the gratitude and love of your breath, it's magic. I can't explain the nuts and bolts of it. However, it is magical, because it's what you're doing is you're connecting with your source within. Your breathing is connecting you with your source, the source intelligence, your source of everything in your life, your source of health, your source of of connection. You're literally everything in your life is a byproduct of your breath and your desires and your love and gratitude for being here. And we spend way too much time outside of us. The external, the media, social media, it's all designed to keep you exposed, keep you focused on the external. And when you focus on the external, there's anxiety and fear and worry and frustration. And those lower frequencies slow down your breathing. They make your breathing more shallow. And you can counter those feelings. You can begin to control your external world by controlling your internal world. That's really the most important message that I picked up today from Buddha and Yogananda and from Jesus, who was basically talking about how we have all of this power within us, and we barely even touch the surface because we're so focused on what's going on outside of us. And we begin to take back our power. It begins with our breath.
Michael, you are so spot on, and I'm chuckling because even though I had my car into the shop and I got it back yesterday, I was driving today and I was losing power. And as I'm driving on a busy road, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if I just, and I'm gripping the steering wheel really tight because I didn't want to break down in the midst of traffic. I wanted to be able to pull off somewhere. But I found myself, and it's so interesting you brought that up because I found myself holding my breath and gripping that steering wheel. And it wasn't a fear, but I was almost like by the power through me, I was trying to control. And then I had to stop for a minute and I caught myself and I thought, take a breath, breathe. And with that breath came the courage and the confidence and the wisdom and the knowing I was going to be all right. And all of a sudden I had this peace inside me. I'm like, I know that I'm protected. I can talk to my angels. I'm going to get to where I need to go. And sure enough, I made it home. No, I was smart enough to rent a car, so I'm not going to continue driving it like that. But it was interesting because there was something in that power when I released that breath. So many times, as you said, there's this unconscious breathing that we don't really, we take it for granted. But when you think about the breath, we're breathing out and we're breathing in. And it's really in a continuous selfless exchange, receiving, giving. And what I thought to myself when you were speaking, it's a reminder to me of really even like love, that when we're in that unconditional love, we're giving, receive, we give, receive. And so as we're starting to do that breath, a while back we talked about Leo Buscaglia, and that's exactly what he said. Love is an act of continuously giving. And so as of breathing that in, I know that my whole physiology started to change. And I was more mindful and I was aware of my breath. And it was interesting because when I stopped breathing, there was no movement. It was almost like my car physically would not go more than 20 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone. And then as soon as I let go and allowed whatever was meant to unfold and breathe, and actually it was almost like my body became aligned and my mind could allow for greater frequencies to sort of transcend the experience that I was experiencing. And I think that that's really, really powerful. And I think, so what if would shift in each one of our lives if when we inhale, it's actually an act of receiving love. And when we exhale, it was an act of giving it back to the world. And I'm really inspired by what you shared because that's exactly what I thought. Like, ah, you exhale. You had mentioned to me before, be grateful for the last breath you took. And that gratitude is key, I think, to staying rooted into the eternal now. That there's a reason that they call the breath of God. In whatever context, as you said, no matter what your background, there is something sacred in that breath. And it should be effortless and ever present. And knowing when I took that breath, I just knew I was safe. I knew that I was okay. Everything was going to be fine. But I didn't even really think about it. So thank you for that conscious reflection because I hadn't thought about it until you were speaking. So I truly am grateful for that reminder. I'm going to be more conscious of it from this point forward. And it's easy to take breathing and our breath for granted. I don't know if you're familiar with John Kabat-Zinn. He did a lot of work with mindfulness-based stress reduction, and he said that the breath is not just air, but rather it's an anchor to the non-judgmental present moment, and that the breath brings us back to the only moment where life, love, and presence exist. And so when we have anxiety, which pulls us to the future, or guilt that pulls us to the past, it's the breath that brings us back.
One of the things that I love is the fact that it's easy to take the breathing for granted. It's so easy to do. And I am inspired actually by what I heard today because it's going to, in this next week, it's going to enable me to create the desire to focus more on breathing and more on the gratitude of my breath, each breath that I take. And no matter where in the world I'm taking that breath, because I'm probably going to run through 8 countries, maybe 9 in the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy the breath. I'm going to slow down time by slowing down my breathing. Because that's the other thing that's interesting. The faster we breathe, the faster time lapses. It's really an interesting concept, but it happens just like that. And so that's my little mission in the next couple of weeks. My desire, seeing that it's seeing whether I can be that focused on it on a continual basis as I'm engaged in whatever it is I'm engaged in, whether I'm attempting to make a flight, running through an airport because the flight is, late because I'm late. It's just, I don't really get upset about things. And I'll tell you a little story. It's interesting, that happened to me. And I stayed extremely calm through this entire thing. It's because a lot of things we talk about on the show, I think we told our audience before that we practice in everyday life. And I am highly aware of the things that happen for me, that everything happens for me and not to me. So I'm leaving. I spent 4 days with my mother, spending anywhere between 9 and 10 hours a day with her. And she's in her home. She had a couple of strokes, not speaking, spending a lot of time in bed. And my goal is to get her out of that bed, get her out. I walked her around the block. And I got my brother and my brother-in-law walking around the block now in the daylight, in the sun. And, it's getting her out of that environment. But on the way back, I was right on time for my flight, which was leaving 6:30 in the morning. We had boarded the plane. I got upgraded to first class, which is really, really nice. Just got comfortable in my seat, and then everybody did. And then the pilot comes on and says, in the walk around, I discovered a small dent on the front of the plane. And I'm going, uh-oh, I know what that means. He said, it's very simple. We all have to deplane, and we have to bring another plane around. The engineers are going to come look at this, but that'll take a couple of hours. We got a plane. And then when I got off the plane, it was going to be 3 hours from the time that I was actually sitting in that seat before I was able to leave. I started extrapolating out that time, looking at the schedules of flying out of Atlanta back home to Panama City Beach, and I discovered that I only had one opportunity if I wanted to get home before 4 o'clock. And I went to the line. There was somebody in front of me, happened to be going to the same exact place I was going here in Panama City Beach. And she got him a seat. And I said, okay. I said, I'm really seeking to be on the 7:15 flight. She did her thing. I didn't say another word. I just stayed positive. And then she said, it leaves, we got you covered. It leaves from the gate, next gate. And they had already fully boarded. And that's how close I caught it. But I got to Atlanta and I got home at 3:25. And I had dinner at 5 with some friends, which is the reason why I wanted to get home. Otherwise, it would have been 11 o'clock at night, almost midnight, before I could possibly get home because all the flights are sold out, if I was to get home at all. So staying calm and being loving to the person, expressing love. And I was really, really, really grateful because that's what I was thinking. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude for getting on this flight. Thank you so much for getting me on this flight through her little keyboard clicks and things. I was very grateful. Thank you for getting me on this flight. Thank you for getting me home in a timely manner. And that that kind of thing can happen anytime. It hasn't happened to me for at least 10 years. For at least 10 years. However, it doesn't matter that it happened. What matters is how I dealt with it internally. I internalized the whole thing, took it inside of me. I said, I have the power to control how I feel in this situation and my responses and everything is going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. And I said, I will be home where I need to be home. And I was. And by the way, a couple of minutes after that, it sold out. That plane, everything finished. The flight to home sold out from Atlanta. I could have gotten to Atlanta, but I wouldn't have gotten home if I hadn't been on that very flight that I was on. So anyway, that kind of thing does happen. And through those kinds of things, we have to remember to breathe. We have to remember to stay calm. And it's not the external that we should get all upset about. And if I hadn't done that, I would have basically just had to be okay with and breathe through whatever I was going to have to do, whether it was go to Atlanta and stay overnight with a friend, and that would have been great too, or get home late by midnight. That's just the way it goes. Things are beyond your control, and breathing through them, these things that are beyond your control, is really the most important thing. And practically on a daily basis, we're going to have things thrust at us, things that we're going to be exposed to that involve us personally. It wasn't somebody else who was not getting on the flight. If it was that, I would have wished them well, and that's it. And whatever happens is beyond my control anyway. But recognizing what we do have control over and what we don't, and focusing only on what we have control over, which in this particular case, in this conversation, is our own breathing, our own gratefulness for where we are, what we're doing, the ability to manage our own thoughts and feelings. That's what we have the ability to control. And when we do that, things do magically work out for us. I want people to believe in the magic of what can happen when you remain calm and you go inside and breathe through whatever's happening. And that was really important. It's an important message from this particular video. I think it was the gentleman was channeling Jesus, and that was very much what the conversation was about, is remaining calm and understanding that what's going on outside of us is not something. Our ability to control it is in the way that we respond to it. And remaining in love is paramount. Remaining in love, no matter what's going on, remaining in love and breathing and knowing that everything will work out in the end the way it's supposed to work out. Much of what you can't control needs to be let go. And that's kind of what my little Sunday was like.
I
I
know.
was looking forward to that little first class flight, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the ultimate lesson in present moment gratitude and really understanding the gift that it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And you didn't allow that anxiety to pull you into the future of, oh, I'm not going to do this and what's going to happen there, and the things that you had no control over, nor did you sort of allow anything to put you in the past. That things
Yeah.
happen with airplanes, and
Yeah.
and being able to have that breath brings you back into the moment where it's just you're back in the present. It's interesting because when we breathe in, as you did, you kind of you had compassion for the ticket agent, our gate agent who was trying to get everybody settled in and get you to where you needed to go. And you're patient and you're just breathing and allowing that. And it's allowing you to kind of anchor into that present moment and just know that everything is going to be okay and to trust in that knowing. And both
That's
you
true.
and I are
Yeah.
fans of Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the Four Agreements. And he, after that book, he wrote a book called The Fifth Agreement. And it was all about
Right.
listening to the truth within yourself. Even though you had these external illusions of what was going on, when you listen to that inner voice, which is that truth, which you can connect to by breathing, we can avoid a lot of unnecessary suffering, as you did. You didn't
Mhm.
cause yourself that angst and anxiety. You're like, okay, I'm going to be rooted in the present moment, and I know that I'm safe, and I know that whatever noise in my mind, I'm just going to quiet it through my conscious breath. I think that's fantastic, Michael. It really does make a difference. And so, if you're in that space, I mean, you can just do a very simple, you inhale love. You take a deep breath in and fill your chest with that love. And then you exhale the gratitude and release it and share it to everybody around you, kind of like I'm sure you did. You were grateful to be on that flight. You were grateful for so many things. And then you just can pause and you rest in that stillness and feel the
Mhm.
connection to everyone around you. And that's
Yeah.
what I think breathing in love is all about. The breath can really serve as that. It's like that universal bridge. Every person on earth shares the
Mhm.
rhythm of
Shares that.
breath, no matter
Hmm.
what race, culture, or belief. We all breathe, and that breath connects us through these invisible threads of life. And it moves through us the same way. It's really windy out right now, so I'm looking out the window. I'm looking at the trees, and that's what I thought of. I'm like, here goes that breath,
Yeah.
that
Here
wind
goes that wind.
breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just
Yeah. It's
have to
important.
sort of let it move through us and
Yeah.
really understand that as we breathe, take that deep breath in, inhale that love. We're more aligned. We become that flow of the divine source of all that is.
Hmm.
And the more
Yeah.
we effortlessly let that love flow through us and exhale that gratitude for whatever it is, releasing it, we're sharing that. It's like, wow, more love is flowing through us. We're actually shifting and connecting with more souls around the planet. I just love it.
Well said. Well said. I love what you said about it's the one thing that really connects us. It connects us to everything, and it connects us to source. It connects us, and that's the most, in my view, the most important connection, because source intelligence, source energy, source compassion, source empathy, all that is supported by and tapped into by your breath, all of it. And it's a different way of looking at things, I know, because it's easy to get wrapped up in whatever space that you're in. However, moving outside of that space by going inside and being your own, heard a great term the other day, that being your own observer, being an observer of yourself and what's going on within you, and understanding whether or not you're resonating love or not is key. Being an observer of what's going on with what you're doing allows you to make changes and allows you to pivot when you discover that your breathing has become shallow, like you discovered, right? It's being your own observer is important, and it's it's being aware, but it's also like when you're in a situation, you step outside of it. You observe yourself within the context of whatever situation you're in, and ask yourself, am I resonating love? If not, I need to go inside and I need to tap back into that love. And that's what I need to be resonating at this particular point in time, because I'm not resonating love. I'm resonating fear or anger or frustration or worry or any of those other lower emotions and feelings that you don't want to um, to reinforce. So something that somebody had said the other day, I was reading, they were describing, I think it was Abraham, was describing the endless loop that we get into this feedback loop. That's what you called it, a feedback loop of we whatever we're exposed to uh, and creates negative emotions and feelings and thoughts. And then what we do is we expand upon those, thinking that we're going to get through the situation that we're in with those expanded negative emotions and feelings and thoughts, which is not possible. You have to step outside the situation. It's like Dr. Clement was talking about. It's like Einstein was talking about. There's any challenges you face, anything that you're exposed to is not going to, any issue that you need resolved in your life is not going to be resolved from lower feelings and emotions. All it's going to do is it's going to expand upon those lower feelings and emotions, and you're in a feedback loop. You need to step out of it. Stop reinforcing the negativity with more negativity. And in order to solve a problem, if you're in negativity when the problem exists, you have to step out of that because you're not going to solve the problem with those lower level thoughts, feelings, and emotions. It's not going to occur. So I find that to be. I had just listened to that last week on the flight out, Dr. David Clement, and that particular comment. Not that I haven't heard it before, not that it hasn't been said dozens of times by other people, Abraham and Bashar and everybody else, and Einstein. However, it's necessary to have this information come from different places, the same message come from different places, different sources, because I think it's timely when it occurs. It's timely, and I had that was top of mind when I was in my situation, looking to leave at 6:30 in the morning. You know, it begs to to for you being able to know that you have the ability, no matter what the situation is, to deal with it in a positive way with love, with gratitude, and gratitude from a perspective of thank you very much. Thank you so much for this positive outcome. You know, thank you for the positive outcome. It hasn't happened yet, but you're thanking, you're grateful for what will be, which is a positive outcome. Whatever that outcome is going to be positive, you know, and instead of negative. Same with you in your car. Whatever it is, you have the confidence that it's going to be a positive outcome. And you give thanks for that. And that's how we get ahead of the situation. Let's talk about manifest. You need to make sure that you're reinforcing what's already the thing you desire as if it's already occurred. Well, gratitude is that's it. You're grateful for it already having been done. It's finished.
Right.
Right?
And I think, Michael, part of it is the unknown. I think that the unknown can be a very scary place, and that even the unknown as to whether or not you're going to get on the flight, whether I'm going to make it home, it can be a scary place. But when you practice gratitude and you take that breath of gratitude, the deep, deep breathing, I think it's the fastest way to shift from that fear-based illusion into which is lower vibration. That's the fear state where we have that shallow, rapid breathing to a high vibrational love state, which is that low, full, intentional breath. So breathing in love is really an active choice to release that fear.
Right.
The shadow part of love.
Well, you know what the normal person, the normal person would, the average person, I should say, that is not necessarily aware of the things that we're talking about, the love and gratitude, living from that space, could stand there in front of the gate agent and be expressing all these negative emotions and extrapolating out what if in the negatives, right? Literally filling the room with all those negatives that could occur. You know, I hope this doesn't happen. I hope that doesn't happen. If this happens, I hope that doesn't happen, you know, and I don't want that to happen. I'll be upset if this happens. It'll be the end of the world if that happens. You know, we start putting these thoughts and energies out. And actually what occurs is exactly that. You get the worst outcome by thinking the worst thoughts. And that's really my feeling is that what we do when things happen or go what we brand as going wrong, right? It's not necessarily that it's going wrong. If I had been stuck in Atlanta, I'd call my friend and spend some time with him, right? Then I'd Uber back to the airport in the morning and catch my flight. It wouldn't be a wasted time. Maybe I was, and here's the other thing. I just thought about it. When it comes to this sort of thing, anything that we feel goes wrong in our life or doesn't go the way we expect it to go or we think it should go, the first thing we want to do is brand it as a problem. We want to brand it as adversity. And we get wrapped up in that diatribe. And it obviously has unintended consequences because we feel unintended, but really we did intend them because that's what we put into the universe. We fed the universe the negativity, and we got back that negativity because we always do get back what we put in. And so our understanding that that's the case puts us in a place of total control, which is exactly what we're looking for anyway. We think that we're out of control, but no, we have the control. We have the control to feed the consciousness of that airport, the consciousness of travel, whatever, the world itself, positivity. We feed it positivity. And when we do that, we are feeding what we want to occur, what we desire most, our highest outcome, and that we really, really desire. And it's attached to love, and it's attached to love in a very, very big way. So I always remember that. It's like, whatever the concept, don't feed the monster, right? Just relax, breathe, be positive, stand in love and gratitude that the right thing will occur. And whatever that right thing is, I have been stuck in the airport and been in need of a hotel to catch an earlier flight because everything was booked up. I've done that before. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing, right? It's just something that happens. And I start looking around, becoming more aware and more observing of who I connect with when those things happen. Because the way I see it, it's not happening to me, it's happening for me because I'm supposed to connect with somebody. If it's even for a moment to give them some positive energy. Maybe a comment that I'm supposed to make to someone that shifts their thought patterns from negative to positive, that helps them evolve and transmute the energies that they're feeling. Instead of getting all wrapped up in me and seeing it as a problem and as that, I shift my energies to, okay, why did this happen for me? Let's 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 look around here and follow the trail wherever it leads you, and with love and gratitude and understanding that there is a reason for why it's occurring for you. And if you are all wrapped up in negative emotions, we both know you'll never see that reason. You'll never become aware of that reason. And to me, that's the fun part. It's like being a sleuth. It's wonderful.
It
It's like
is.
being a flute. Yeah, it's like being a flute. It's like what's going on here? Is this person comes to me? Am I supposed to? It's not that I'm supposed to say something positive to somebody, but I do it anyway, right? I say hi to the person that's mopping the floor in the bathroom, right, and ask them how they're doing. How's your day?
Right.
Because to everyone else, they're invisible. But to
Right.
me, they're a person who's got a job. They're doing the work they need to do because they're supporting themselves, their family, whatever it may be. Their light is not less important than my light. And I'm forever cognizant of that. And we in this world happen to tend to think that there's this, I'm better than this person, but you're taught to put yourself above other people. And that thought process doesn't involve love because now you're putting someone below you and you're thinking that someone else is above you and that you're here and that you're maybe less than or you're more than. And that duality gets in the way of enjoying an awesome life, having fun. It does in
Mm-hmm.
many, many ways. So yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's been an
interesting because
interesting week.
as you were speaking, all I could think about when you were saying the people that you run into, we really are vessels that carry energy into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as you did, you remained calm. And I'm sure after you left that particular individual and walked through the airport, as you said, you're carrying the calmness, the love, the gratitude, and it's impacting those around you. And oftentimes we don't think that we can really make a difference, but we do. And it's in the power of our words, it's the power in the love that we feel from our hearts is in that breath, and choosing to speak from love and breathe in that love. It's really transformative. We don't really think of ourselves in that way, how powerful we truly are. But we are
Right.
absolutely magnificent beings, and we can create and we can share. And every opportunity that we encounter is an opportunity to transform. We have that personal power that we can
Mm-hmm.
align ourselves with that love and create a bigger foundation, a greater foundation for connection. I think it's absolutely fabulous, Michael. It is. It's the little things, and I think that taking that moment to breathe and just to slow. I think when you do a mindful breath, and I think that's part of the reason mindfulness became so popular over the last few years, everything's been so hurried. And we forget, we're rushing through our day and we just take for granted how sacred that breath is, or slowing down, or what it feels like to be able to take a deep breath in. If you've ever spoken to somebody that has pneumonia or COPD, or I had asthma at one time, that breath is so important, that breath of life, and be able to take that deep breath in is fantastic. I'll never forget when I got rid of all my inhalers, and I didn't have to rely on that to be able to take a nice deep breath. And boy, was there gratitude and there was love for all of the individuals that got me to that point.
Yeah.
It's really that opportunity, and every day in every interaction we have that opportunity to inspire and heal and share that breath of kindness, that breath of love with everyone that we meet.
That is so true. That is absolutely the case. And, we all have our various stories that connect to breath. And I think in another show, I'll go into that because I don't want to. But I was at 22 years old, made very cognizant of how precious breath was through the passing of somebody very close to me that I cared about very much because of asthma, where the asthma attack was fatal. So I'm very grateful that I have the ability to breathe. And in these past couple of years, and even the past 24 hours, I've been introduced to other reasons to be more grateful for breath. And it's because, I put myself in a position to be receptive to learning more things, to gaining more enlightenment. And that receptivity, which I think we did a whole show on receptivity in the past year, is very, very important. You mentioned the unknown. You mentioned the unknown earlier in the show. Yeah, the unknown can be scary if you see it that way, if you
Mhm.
perceive it in a negative way, if you perceive it as being negative, the unknown. It's all about our perception. It's kind of like, you look at your heart, either you perceive it as a thing in your chest, a muscle in your chest that pumps blood all over your body, and because of it you're alive because of that mechanical process, or you can see it as the source of infinite knowledge, infinite connection, infinite love. You can see it as that or the opposite. And so the perception is what Dr. David Clement was talking about. We have to shift our perceptions of the heart. That's the first thing we do. We see our heart as something more than just a muscle that's pumping blood all over our body to keep us alive and through every organ. It is the source of your infinite intelligence. It is the source of love. And those two things, source intelligence and love, combined together, make you an amazingly powerful, infinitely powerful soul on this planet. Also, it's we haven't talked about this yet, but it's your breath that helps you connect with your higher self.
Mhm.
It's really interesting that we're talking about that, how when you do go within, what you're connecting with is your higher self, that part of you, that aspect of your soul that is there to take care of your hows, right? How this happens, how that happens. That's who you turn over the how to. You're here to have fun and enjoy and not get caught up in the details. Your higher self is there to handle the details. Develop a relationship through your breath with your higher self. And by doing so, you'll find your life will become much more expanded than it is, because we have a tendency to live in this little small space, thinking from our minds instead of our hearts. And in my view, the breath helps connect you to your heart, connects you to your higher self, and connects you to the things that you desire most in your life, so that they can actually manifest for you.
Hmm.
Something as
Yeah,
simple as breathing. Wow, can do all that, huh?
I know. Well, and we were speaking about the body being a vessel, and as you were speaking, Michael, I thought about that. Like if your breath is love, and it's this constant reminder that we're inhaling and exhaling whatever it is that we wish to share. And it's my vessel. It's almost as though it was a temple or retreat. You don't have to, it's kind of a reminder, you don't have to go to a special place. You can go within and breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yes.
sort of that
Mm-hmm.
aspect in the wisdom of Buddha and many of the other teachers cross culturally. There is a sacredness to the breath. And that when we're in gratitude, there is this beautiful journey that can unfold. It's just for us to remember, as you said, that connection to our higher
Mm-hmm.
selves, who we are, what we're meant to do, and what our passions are, connecting to all of those things. And a friend of mine is a wonderful healer, and today I got a surprise from her. She sent me a book, and it was a beautiful book because she knows how much I love the interworkings of the human body. And it was just as soon as I opened the box and I saw this gorgeous book, I took that breath in and I went, wow. And I felt all the love and the kindness and the thoughtfulness in her choice to send me that. I mean, it was just so unexpected. It took my breath away. But then I did that breathing, and I was just so grateful. But it filled my heart. That breath that I took in filled my heart with so much joy, and I felt the love. So it's that breath of the one, that interconnectedness to each one of us. It's absolutely beautiful. It
Yeah,
really is.
and
It's
that's
absolutely
it's
beautiful.
timeless. It's timeless. There's no time and space when it comes to what you're describing there. There's no time and space. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, what's going on. You can have that experience. You can have that experience, and it's that's the point, I guess, that I really would love for our audience to take away from this, is that you have so much power, more power than you could ever imagine in 100 lifetimes. You're an infinitely created being that is powered by source intelligence. And with all the stuff that's going on around the world and all the change, we haven't even talked about it in this show, how the Earth's frequency is changing. The Earth's frequency is speeding up, and how that is creating a lot of different things. And you can either see it as a positive or you can see it as a negative. It's a choice that you make as to how you want to experience anything. That choice it defines your experience. And so the perception you choose of it, the way you choose to interpret it, the way you choose to interpret the conversation that we're having all throughout the show tonight, is it's going to determine your experience of the show and of what we're talking about. And there is so much happening. I think that for me, I know for a fact, actually, when I was with my mother last week, it was only my mother. I didn't watch the news. I didn't go on social media. I didn't do anything but remain connected to her for 9 to 10 hours. That's it. Whatever I was doing, I was basically connected to her. I was looking to her eyes. I was seeking to connect with her on every level for hours and hours, for 4 straight days. Right? When I went home, I was exhausted. I was exhausted when I went home because I'd had so much focus, so much intent, so much attention to and to loving her and loving on her and letting her know that, that she can move beyond where she is. Whether she understood what I was saying, I think she did. Every once in a while, she breaks out in a laugh when something's said, right? So I know that I'm, hitting home and connecting. However, it brought home the fact to me that love is a path to healing. And I was simply engaged with that. And that was it. It didn't matter what was going on, except the World Series, of course. We watched that together. We watched cooking shows. My brother said she loves to watch cooking shows, on the Food Network. So we watched cooking shows on the Food Network, and I talked to her about what was going on. She wasn't responding or anything, but I could tell if she was either engaged with it or not. And so it got to be this cool positive game of how can I keep her engaged, you know? So I bought blueberries. I bought blueberries from Whole Foods. And I said, let's have some blueberries. You want some blueberries? And a really wonderful, loving thing happened. For the first time in a month since she had a stroke, she brought her left hand up and with the intent of grabbing a blueberry to put it in her own mouth.
Oh, that's
Now, this is
fantastic.
somebody who doesn't feed herself. She doesn't touch it. And then I expanded it beyond that. I put the blueberries in a spot where and I positioned her arms so that she could actually, get the process of putting it in her mouth. And she ate like 8 blueberries. And then
That's
lunch came
fantastic.
and she reached for the fork. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I texted my brother and sister after it happened. They said, what? And then my brother the next day, I'm gone. He's over there. He goes, how did you get her to do? I said, I didn't get her to do anything. She just literally wanted to do it. And I just, made sure it happened, you know? So it wonderful things can occur with love. And we're not, the most important thing is to not be upset by anything. It's the course of life. Things happen. And yeah, keeping it simple.
What a beautiful experience, and you'll never, throughout the rest of your life, you'll never look at blueberries the same. And it's
Oh no.
uh, no, truly, I can attest to that. I mean, it's the simple things like that that you feel gratitude. I'm sure in that moment, you were grateful for
Oh
that
heck yeah.
simple act. I mean, you cannot even measure it and quantify it with a dollar amount. And you know what reminded me, Michael, when you said that, when I have had some of my animals have not been well, or even
Right.
humans, when you share the breath, when you actually, because you can control your breath, oftentimes when somebody is ill, they can't control their breath.
Right.
And so if
Right.
you either slow down and you match their breathing and you breathe
Mm-hmm.
with them in that same rhythm, it
Mm-hmm.
creates such a sacred connection and such a beautiful bond. It's
Thank you.
absolutely incredible. And I
Yeah,
think
I'm glad
that
you brought that
that's
up.
sort of a good metaphor, like that when we align with our breath, we align with life. Every inhale is an invitation to receive, every exhale is an opportunity to give. And from
Yeah.
that first breath to your last, the universe is breathing through you. And in that time where you said you didn't have any of those distractions, maybe unconsciously you were breathing with her. And when you become aware of that sacred rhythm that you had matched with her, it's like, wow, love has been your constant companion all along. You don't
Yeah.
need the word. It's that
Yeah.
shared moment. It's what a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah. It's what's interesting. The antithesis of that is some of the people that I witnessed that were with their parents, or their parent that was their kids and stuff that are, I mean, I say kids, I mean offspring, basically, that are in their 50s and 60s. They're coming to see their parents, and I'm very cognizant of the energy that people bring in. And I simply I don't want to ruin the story I just said, but I want to tell you that there's a flip side to this. Is that where the reason I was attempting to put out so much positive energy while I was watching this is that a lot of visitors, people visiting their mom, their father, whatever, that are in this particular rehab hospital, a lot of them are seeing what they're doing as sort of a chore, and they're approaching it from that perspective where there isn't any love, and they're frustrated that they have to take time out of their lives to come there and spend with them. And I'm like, wow. And they live in the city, right? I mean, I don't live there. I come all the way from Florida, all the way across the country. And I told them, I said, I'm from Florida. I was here last month. I'll be here next month. I already bought the ticket. So the beauty of they just didn't see it that way. They framed it as a chore, framed it as an obligation. And you have a totally different experience when you frame anything as an obligation, because that literally lends itself to unleashing all of the negative, lower frequency feelings and emotions, frustration and worry, anger, your resentment, all those things that you really don't want to bring into the space, but you're actually bringing it into the space. And I was lucky because my mother's roommate had we had the woman that was next to my mother she was sharing a room with a woman who was so beautiful, so loving, so amazing. And I was so grateful that she had two roommates that were the same, that were positive.
Nice.
They were loving. I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't luck. This isn't luck that this happens. This is the universe making sure that my mother's energy is matched by somebody who's in the same space, right? Because my mother's a very loving and giving person. She's always been that way. And it's so I feel that she's still giving off that vibe, and the other roommates that she had actually also gave off that, because I came across some people who were very angry, and I was so grateful that they weren't any part of the space that we had, that my mother has right now. Very, very grateful that that's the case. And it just reminded me that the attitude you bring, the perception you have about it, drives everything. And we have to remember that the energy we're putting out is feeding the global grid, the global consciousness, and the area, the consciousness of the area where you are. And fixing the world begins within, with us all elevating ourselves, I should say, above the frustration and the worry and all that sort of stuff, that and the anger about things you have no control of. When you definitely have control over you, and you can just feed that positivity into the global consciousness, the energy of wherever you are, and it can transform it. It can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's why in A Course in Miracles, it says love brings up everything unlike itself. But it goes on to say that miracles occur naturally as an expression of love, and that the real miracle is the love that inspires them, like your blueberries. In every sense of the word, everything that comes from love is a miracle. And I remind myself of that all the time. And, that's why I'm so grateful for this sacred exchange with you and those who choose to join us here on Connect to Love, because each one of you is precious. And with every breath I take, I am grateful for this time, this moment, this sacred exchange. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful part of my day. Yes, absolutely.
It is. I feel cloud nine when we get done with this. I'm always on cloud nine. It makes me think, how can I continue to evolve into this next week based on what we talked about? And that's what we bring to the table. I'm so grateful for you. Grateful for our audience, wherever you are in the world. Keep sharing the existence of the show, here on PRNFM, the existence of our podcast. That is for people who want to listen over and over and go back and check out the archives of the shows that we have had over the past 3 years. All of it may hold the key for you to moving forward and evolving through whatever you're going through in your life or wherever you live geographically.
So true. And until next time, Michael, I'm speechless. Thank you so much for another beautiful show. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm just
We'll do it again.
looking forward to the next one. And until next time, breathe in love, exhale love, and of course, peace out. Thank you so much.
I love it. Bye-bye.